Hey, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the Controlled Interest Gamecast, where we talk about video games and everything happening in the industry. It is episode 22. How's it going, guys? As always, I'm joined by Jordan. How's it going, Jordan?
Yo, what up, what up?
And Dom. How's it going, Dom?
Hello, Governor. Got myself a Vita, I did.
Unfortunately, this was supposed to be the first episode with all three of us having a video feed. If you're watching this on YouTube, shocker, spoiler alert, I don't have it. Some complications happened with the webcam. Hopefully everything will be cleared up by next week, and you'll be able to see my lovely face alongside these two guys for the video portion. So yeah, episode 22, getting into what we played. Another week of me not really playing much. I didn't really get around to playing anything at all, really. Outside of like just a match here or two of Smite, a match here or two of Overwatch, but I didn't really sink my teeth in anything this week. Yeah, it's just been a couple of weeks, so I haven't really felt like playing anything, you know? So
Been watching stuff? Reading stuff?
I've been watching YouTube and stuff, but like I just video games haven't really been my outlet for entertainment this week, it seems like.
Yeah.
Which happens sometimes. I'll probably get out of the funk next week, but yeah, what about you guys? There wasn't really much I had going on this week as far as what I was playing or watching or anything.
For me, it was really just Hyper Light Drifter. That came out on Tuesday, and beat that in 3 sittings, I guess. But that is going to be my topic, so I won't really spoil what I thought of the game or anything like that. And then, other than that, that's about it, man. I've been reading, finished up Goblet of Fire. I said I was reading that last week. And almost finished with Star Wars Dark Disciple, which is freaking awesome, dude.
That's awesome. Is that, so, I'm unfamiliar, is that a reprint of, like, EU stuff, or is that, like, just a new book?
So, this might have been the first new canon book. Basically, what it was is when Disney took everything over, they kept Clone Wars, and then the movies were basically the only things that stayed.
Yeah, okay.
And so, they canceled Clone Wars to move that team over to Star Wars Rebels. And so, we got Son of Dathomir, which is about Darth Maul, and that's a Dark Horse comic miniseries. And then we got Star Wars Dark Disciple, which is a novel based on unfinished scripts from the Clone Wars as well. So there was 2 little things that were used. They used the story from unproduced episodes, which is pretty cool, even though it sucks that the show got canceled.
So this isn't the books that, like, some of them were, like, controversial that some people didn't like, right? This isn't those set of books. This is, like, a different thing.
No, this is probably, I would say, the highest rated of the new canon. Okay. It's about Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos, and they're trying to go assassinate Count Dooku.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's I think Dooku's the only character I recognize out of all 3 of those, but it sounds cool.
Duke.
What about you, Dom? What have you been playing, watching, seeing?
So, I was wrapping up Skyward Sword, and just before that final boss, the Wii died.
It died?
Like died for good?
Literally froze up, gave me an error message, a discrete error, yada yada, thinking like, oh, well, okay. Tried resetting the system a couple of times, cleaning the disk off, every last thing, same thing. Tried some other disks, and the same result. So,
you got a bunk-ass Wii, bro.
How does an underpowered piece of hardware overheat?
Well, I did buy it used, and that, so I wasn't.
Yeah, true.
You know, I wasn't overly surprised or upset, but I was able to return it still because since it's used, they give you 2 months as long as if there's a problem with it, you can return it.
What a deal! That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and I was like just under 2 months too, so I was really lucky. But since I didn't finish the game though, and they didn't have another one, so they couldn't replace it. Of course. So because of that, I just watched a YouTube video of the final boss fight because I just had to see it.
That's fine. I think that's perfectly fine considering circumstances.
I had to close the thread there. Couldn't just leave it.
Yeah.
Sure. So
I didn't want to buy a whole new Wii and go through the hassle of everything because that's really the only game I wanted to play.
Yeah.
So did you just get your money back from them or what?
Yep.
Okay.
So I got my money back for the console itself, and then for everything else, since it was still technically functioning, I just traded it into them since I obviously didn't.
There's no need for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got some store credit at the used game shop that I don't know what the heck to do with. So yeah, so that's how that went. My little Wii experiment. Otherwise,
You got a Vita!
Yeah, playing a little Vita. Little bit of Shovel Knight, which I picked up because I actually got finally redeemed my Speed Rewards points for a PlayStation card. After like 5 years, I had enough points for a $10 PlayStation card, so grabbed Shovel Knight with that. Yeah, right.
5 long years.
I totally didn't even consider. I had already grabbed Grim Fandango and Velocity 2X on PS4, and they're cross-buy games, so I actually was able to download them right to the Vita.
Awesome. That's cool.
Which was cool. So, yeah, Shovel Knight is damn. I can. It's so much fun, and I totally respect what it is, and you know the kind of games it's looking back on, but it is hard. It is.
You think it's hard? Wow.
I think it's quite. I mean, the gameplay, everything about it is hard, except there's not much punishment for dying.
Yeah.
That's kind of the forgiving point of it. Where you can just, and there's a checkpoint right before every boss.
Well, you lose gold. You lose half your gold.
Right, but I don't know. I don't think it's. I think they could have done a harsher punishment, but I mean, I'm glad they didn't. But
yeah,
but the gameplay itself is not too bad at first, but it gets hard very quickly. And I don't think I've beaten any of the bosses on the first try. Like, usually the first try, like, they just destroy me. And then once you learn their, a few tries later, you learn their patterns, and you can usually handle them. But, yeah, fun game. So, this is really the first indie game I think I've ever played. I mean, like, I guess
What?
Dawn Home is an indie game.
Wow.
Damn.
That is insane to me.
Unless there's something I'm not thinking of. But.
What rock have you been under, Dom?
This is the PC guy, too, where, like, indie games thrive, if anything.
Oh, yeah, I have no indie games on PC.
That is insane to me. That's
Damn,
crazy. So, do you think when you're done, you want to do a review discussion between us three? Because I absolutely adore Shovel Knight.
Wait a second. Dark Souls is an independent video game.
Well,
Boom shakalaka.
right.
It is.
What is that?
It is.
I guess
They're an independent
technically,
studio.
but I don't know. Maybe think of like a smaller scale indie game. I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
Semantics.
I'm just saying, like, technically, From Software is an independent studio, just like Insomniac's an independent studio.
Yeah. I think he's thinking of like Little I indie.
but they use
Sure.
publishers though.
Well, yeah, but indie developers
Right.
use publishers too. Like, they'll partner
Okay.
up. Like, Hello Games is an independent developer, but they're partnering with Sony for No Man's Sky.
Yep.
Okay.
So Little I indie.
As long as they're not owned by a publisher, then they're independent.
The more you know.
Same thing with, like, it's the same way with music. There's, like, indie bands that have hundreds of thousands of people at their concerts. It doesn't make any sense. But,
An indie band with 1 million followers on Twitter. It's like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that it? Just Shovel Knight? So I didn't want to cut you off there. Okay.
That's what I've been playing. Yep.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're finally playing Shovel Knight. It's one of my favorite games of all time.
I'm
love that
glad
game
you're
so much.
finally diving into the thriving indie scene, Dom.
I know.
That's why
awesome.
I wanted the Vita. I mean, it's a great excuse to play a lot because there's not much else on the Vita.
Yeah. Sorry, I have a question for you. Maybe one of you know. Limbo always stayed exclusive, right? It never came to PlayStation?
Oh, no, it's on everything.
It is? Is it on Vita?
It is.
Have you ever played Limbo, Dom?
No.
You should try
I think
it.
it's-
I think it's
I think it's
free on
even-
Xbox Live. I don't know if it's free on PlayStation right now. You should check into
It's
it.
not.
It's not?
No.
Pretty sure that's even on iOS.
Yeah, it's on a lot of stuff. I didn't know if it ever came to PlayStation platform. So,
I actually don't know if that's great for the Vita, though. Just because I think, like, sitting in front of a TV, maybe with the lights turned off and some surround sound or headphones, I think that would be more the way to go.
yeah. But Dom said in the past though, is for those kind of experiences, he just wants it on handheld. He doesn't like playing those on a TV.
Like,
I mean, that's just a mental thing I
Yeah.
got going on. I just feel like I have this powerful console. I want, to totally max it out. And if I'm able to, play a less demanding game on a handheld, because handhelds are simply better and more accessible and easier to play.
Yeah.
But obviously the games, are less.
'Cause, like,
it's just where
me-
I'd rather play those games on a handheld.
Yeah, because I personally own Shovel Knight on 3DS and on my Xbox One, and I love playing it on my Xbox One. Turning up that soundtrack, just going through that game, like I
Yeah.
love it on the big screen. But to each their own. Let's hop into the news stories here. The first news story comes by way of Chris Pereira over at GameSpot. And No Man's Sky on PS4 doesn't require PlayStation Plus. No Man's Sky does have multiplayer support, sort of. No Man's Sky can technically be played online, but it won't require PlayStation Plus subscription on PS4 in order to do so. Sony confirmed this with Game Informer. PS Plus won't be a requirement to play online. However, you will need to be connected to the internet for your discoveries to register with the Universal Atlas. I don't think this is any surprise. I don't think this is a surprise to you guys either. This game barely has multiplayer as it is, so it's not shocking that you would not need PlayStation Plus, right?
Right.
This didn't come as a huge surprise to me. It doesn't really even seem like news, but I guess anything revolving around No Man's Sky, you want to talk about and get those news headlines up there. So, I think that's pretty much it.
I totally agree with that, though. I was just going to say that it would almost be a bad decision for them to require PlayStation Plus because of the fact that the multiplayer aspects are so light.
Yeah.
And you do want to have as many people as you can, going around discovering planets and doing all that stuff. So I think it's a smart choice.
It reminds me a lot of Dark Souls where, the multiplayer it's really cool, but it's not vital and it's so small that it's not really worth having a subscription just to do that little thing.
Yeah.
But even then, I think Dark Souls, as minute of the multiplayer as it has, I think it's still way more substantial than this. I think this is like, you'll see somebody rant. The thing is so expansive that the chance of you seeing somebody A to begin with, and then B, like, it'll probably be like a weird like hologram thing, kind of like Dark Souls, but I doubt you'll be even able to interact with anybody. So
you'll be even more limited.
Yeah, we'll see. The next story here, this comes by way of Thomas Bayeri, I believe is what you pronounce it, over at Polygon. He writes, the new Prey will not be like the old Prey. Prey will have no tie to the original, which this part doesn't really come as too much of a surprise, but I want to get into it for the basically inspiration for the game section. So Prey's not
the new Prey.
Yeah.
It's not like the old Prey.
Prey is not a sequel. It's not a remake. It has no tie with the original. Arcane Studios creative director Rafael Colantonio stated in an interview recently released on Bethesda's YouTube page. You have to look at it like a reimagining of the IP, which most of us kind of already understood from the E3 trailer. Has nothing to do with owls or anything spiritual. Looks a lot more dark, a lot more horror-tony, a lot more atmospheric. So the Prey property has had one key issue throughout its development: getting released. The first Prey was announced in 1995 and changed hands several times before it was finally released by Human Head Studios in 2006. The planned sequel, Prey 2, was leaked in 2011, saw several delays, and was ultimately canceled in 2014. The upcoming game, simply called Prey, also leaked in 2013, will not use any assets from the canceled sequel. Isn't really a surprise. This is the really cool part. In the spirit of the game's main inspiration, System Shock 2, Prey will be a first-person shooter with role-playing elements and an emphasis on narrative. The creative director also reconfirmed the main character, Morgan Yu, can be played as a woman or a man.
Nice. Why are people not doing more of this?
Yeah. This is the Mass Effect thing, which I think is pretty cool. Just choosing if you want a female or male, and it doesn't really dictate the story that much, but it makes you more ingrained in the character and the story because you're playing as the same sex. You're going through this if you're a girl playing through the game. Even if you're not a girl, but you want to play as a girl, screw it. But the fact that this game's inspiration is System Shock 2, I think this is going to be... I think they're going for BioShock. I think they want Prey to hit on all cylinders like the first BioShock did. If you want any inspiration for a game, System Shock 2 is a hell of a game to be inspired by. What do you guys think about Prey's future now that we heard what its inspiration is? I can't talk.
Well,
so
that description sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that trailer was totally BioShock-esque.
Totally makes sense now, right? Yeah.
I'm into it. I'm excited.
Yeah, and
I am too, man.
So the cool thing with BioShock is you felt like very claustrophobic at times in the world of Rapture, and it seemed like, I don't know if this is on a space station, it seems like that's where it's going to take place, but it seems like you're definitely going to get those same vibes, which I'm all for. Yeah, so I'm super stoked about that. I'm super excited. Arcane knows how to handle games, obviously with Dishonored, so I have no cautious thoughts about this game moving forward.
That's so interesting, though, what you were saying about the history of it. Like, I had no idea the original was debuted in 95.
That's insane. I had no idea either before I read this article. I was like, talk about turmoil. Last Guardian.
Last Guardian type stuff.
People have been talking about Prey 2 for so long. I want to see those assets from that canceled version of Prey 2.
These are the stories we want. These are the documentaries we want, Netflix.
Yep.
So, coming by way of Patrick Klepek over at Kotaku, the guy that writes almost all their stories, it seems like, Life is Strange is getting adapted into a digital TV series. Square Enix announced this today, as of writing the story. It's being handled by Legendary Digital Studios, the TV arm of the studio behind the Warcraft movie, Godzilla, and others. There's no word on when it'll come out, but given it's nowhere near production, be patient. I just want to talk about this. I don't remember. Have either of you guys played through Life is Strange?
Nope.
So I started episode 1 when it originally came out on PC, like beginning of 2014, 2015.
Okay.
And then never really got into it. And then just now they announced that episode 1 is free on all platforms, so I went ahead and downloaded that on PS4.
Awesome.
So I've played a little bit of it, like, probably like half of episode 1. I kind of like get the premise and get what it's going for.
The cool thing with this game is, so a lot of people have issues when video games turn into movies or TV shows because it's like, why have that if you have the game? Life is Strange, I think, is probably the perfect candidate for this. The game is episodic, obviously, but it's a new IP, so unlike a Game of Thrones or a Walking Dead or something, it has no ties to literally anything else. And the game plays so much like a TV show. People had concerns as far as the decision-making in the game. It's not drastic enough to not get a straight line story out of it, if that makes sense. Like, your stories don't make as much of a difference except for the very end, which I'm intrigued to see how they're going to do that, because the ending is probably the biggest decision of the whole game, which kind of makes sense. But this game definitely leans towards the very teenager adult, young adult oriented drama television show, like Degrassi or even Vampire Diaries, I think, is the one that a lot of people like.
Jesus,
I sound like an old guy talking about the kids these days. What are they watching? But I think
the Vampire Diaries is what the kids are into.
It plays very well. I'm excited to see if some of the main characters are actually voiced by kids around the same age, or people who are maybe a little bit older but read as a younger actor, if that makes sense. So I'm interested to see if those people get cast as the characters themselves or if they have cameos. I know the girl who played the main character is a voice actress and an actual actress and a singer, I think, too. So that'd be really cool to see if she gets a spot on there, maybe even like an Easter egg on the show.
That reminds me, did you guys finish Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thumbs up?
We did.
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh,
people are trying.
2 thumbs.
Seems like some people some people on the internet are trying to be those guys that are like, I don't get the point. This is not entertaining.
Contrarians.
That show is just a good time. Is it Game of Thrones? Is it like some top tier like Breaking Bad or something? Though I didn't really like Breaking Bad. No, it's not something crazy, but it is a quality product. I enjoyed it.
It's some really solid sci-fi, too.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited to see where it goes, because that ending... We'll probably do a review discussion on Stranger Things now that I think about it, so we'll get deep into the spoilers and stuff like that, but I definitely like where it's headed. Also, this is for you, Dom, because Jordan hasn't played it yet. That girl, when she grows up, Dom, needs to play Jack in the Mass Effect movie. 100%. Do you remember who Jack is?
Yeah.
She needs to.
You could take 50% of girls and shave their heads, and they would...
No, but I like the way she acts, though. It's not just because she has a shaved head. Like, I like her character. She plays that, like, the tormented, like, subject really well, It's hard to get kids that are good actors like that, too.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the children.
I hated those 2 bullies, too. Ugh.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to save that. I almost went on a diatribe about those characters, but I'll save that. I want to go back to Life is Strange, though. I feel like this is obviously going to get compared a lot to the Quantum Break series, TV series, which is fine. Obviously, this is a little bit different situation, but it'll be interesting to see, the decisions and the things that you do in Quantum Break. Those actually affect the TV show in a minor way, but it is still connected, and the show itself is like intimately connected with the video game. It'll be interesting to see if this is like, totally separate, if it's connected to the game at all, if it's a tie-in or what they choose to do.
So without spoiling Life is Strange, this could very easily be a prequel to the game as well, which nobody's really talking about either. There's a lot of story before this game happens that you could definitely delve into. So I'm interested to see, because it says that a Life is Strange TV show hasn't stated if it's taking place during the game, before the game, after the game. You don't know. So I'm interested to see where they take it. There's a lot of avenues they can take. And hopefully this gets a really good budget, because some of the stuff they need to accomplish based on the game. As far as like the whole game is based on rewinding time, so hopefully they have
it's got some sci-fi.
So hopefully they have a really good budget for it, and I can't wait to see the casting that comes out. We're still far away, but excited nonetheless. So we're getting to the Nintendo news here before we hop into the topics. This story comes by way of Brian Ashcraft over at Kotaku. Nintendo losing more money than expected. You guys probably heard this story throughout the week. For the most recent quarter ending in June, Nintendo showed a 5.1 billion yen loss, according to Routers, and analysts who were predicting a 4 billion yen loss, but don't worry, there's hope.
Isn't that only like $40 though, Jared?
Only $40, yeah. Nintendo showed a group net loss of 24.53 billion yen, which accounts for relative to $232.1 million, which is quite a lot. And this comes as investors were confused over how Pokemon Go will benefit Nintendo. Obviously, their stocks took a plummet because people realized, Nintendo doesn't really have a hand in this at all, really. Nintendo, who has 70% of its business outside of Japan, blamed the larger-than-expected loss on the strong yen. Sluggish hardware sales didn't help either, obviously. During the same period last year, however, Nintendo netted a 1.15 billion yen profit. For the rest of the financial year, Nintendo forecasts its operating profit to climb 37%. More optimistically, Pokemon Go has shown huge potential for other Nintendo smart apps, and there's also the NX around the corner. I think they'll definitely see an increase in revenue as far as you have Sun and Moon coming out, obviously. When they announce the NX, if they put up pre-orders, that's going to spike. I'm not really concerned about this. This isn't surprising, right, to anybody? Either of you guys? Is this surprising that they lost so much money?
No, I think you did make a surprising point to me. You said that 70% of their business is outside of Japan, and that's something that can be said for Sony too. I mean, not exactly that same percentage, but like Sony unveiled the PlayStation 4 in New York and then launched it in America way before it ever came out in Japan. And so I'm just starting to see like these Japanese video game companies are becoming more global and less attached to their home country. Is interesting. It's kind of just a little nugget that I heard in that story.
Also, I think it has to do with the market in Japan being so mobile-centric, and I don't know what the Vita sales are like. Are you familiar with that, Jordan? Did the Vita do well in Japan?
Well, it's only sold like 13 million total, so it's not like Japan's really helping it out all that much. But it's definitely a thing there, and there's definitely like more Vita games that come out there. There's a lot more JRPGs and stuff that just never get brought over here because no one would really buy. It's not surprising. Obviously, Nintendo I think knew this going forward that they were gonna basically take some hits before they get to the quote unquote good stuff. Apparently, speaking of that good stuff, this is a story that broke a couple of days after last week's recording. Unfortunately, we missed it by a little bit, but Eurogamer basically reported on Nintendo NX, and it is a portable console with detachable controllers. Now, all of this isn't super confirmed, but for all intents and purposes, there's a lot of corroborating sources on this, so people are taking this for fact for the most part. Still isn't verified by any means. But Tom Phillips writes over at Eurogamer, Nintendo's upcoming NX will be a portable handheld console with detachable controllers. A number of sources have confirmed to Eurogamer. On the move, NX will function as a high-powered handheld console with its own display. So far, so normal, but here's the twist. We've heard the screen is bookended by two controller sections on either side, which can be attached or detached as required. Then when you get home, the system can connect to your TV for gaming on the big screen. A base unit or dock station is used to connect the brain of the NX with the controller to display on your TV. Let me get through here. Okay, for more on the console's power, Digital Foundry has a deep dive look at the chip Nintendo has supposedly chosen as the centerpiece of the NX. According to numerous well-placed sources, NVIDIA's powerful Tegra mobile processor, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Dom, there's rumors of the second version, right? It could possibly be in the NX?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is that's the most powerful mobile chip that NVIDIA does right now, but they do have one releasing in the next few months, I don't know exactly when.
Wouldn't it be the most powerful mobile chip, period?
Yeah,
the Tegra 2, right, would be?
Yeah, and that's my big thing is that if this is, everything that they're saying over at Eurogamer, I really think that they're doing it right. If they are making this handheld that turns into a console when you get home and you can pull a controller out of it, then it sounds like this is the chipset that they need, and this is what they need.
Yeah.
To do.
Also, if the gimmick for this Nintendo console is that you can sometimes plug it in your TV, that's a gimmick I can live with.
So here,
Yeah.
no, you guys are absolutely right. But like, let me like lay out the value proposition of this thing, and why I think it's going to cost $350 because it'll be worth it. Because it is. I'm picturing it's hard. The hardest part is to picture it with detachable controllers. Like it sounds crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sure once I see it, I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, like that makes.
Well, they do it
sense.
for cell phones, so it's not too outlandish. I can kind of picture in my mind a little bit. Yeah.
So that part's a little hazy, but so the value proposition being, imagine like having a 3DS that's maybe a little bit bigger, way higher res screen, can play literally like Wii U quality games, because that's about as powerful as this chip is, which is astounding for a mobile chip, right?
Yeah, I think it's great as a mobile chip. Yeah.
Right. So near current gen experiences on your mobile device.
But it's going to have to be even better than that, because remember they were saying that Zelda's going to look better on NX than it would on Wii U, which means that
it could possibly be the Tegra 2. That's what people are speculating.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a step above Wii U for it to have improved visuals.
And so on top of having that powerful mobile device, you can also come home, pop it into a quick dock, and then play everything on the big screen. The only thing that would upset me and kind of ruin this for me is if there was extra processing power in that dock or something like that, where the experience was a little bit different on your TV.
I don't know. That may be awesome, dude, because you're not going to be able to pack. There's no way you're going to be able to pack like a full PS4 sized punch into a.
Also,
device,
that actually benefits
Maybe
both experiences too.
Right. Exactly. Maybe you want that extra punch when you get home. Because think about it. You could have it maybe where it's just the Tegra chip that it's processing off of, and whether you're mobile or at home, it looks the same. Or you could have it looking great on mobile, because we know the Tegra can do that kind of stuff, and then it looks amazing on your big screen because it's actually full 1080 or whatever.
I would just prefer it to be more unified across both systems. Now, if the only thing that was sacrificed from one to the other was resolution, then that's fine.
Yeah.
And that makes total sense.
If the frame rate sucks on mobile when you're out in the go, then fuck that.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
I think that I hope, Jordan, you're kind of right with that, just for the simple fact that it'll give me a reason to plug it into my TV. Because if it's just as powerful mobily as it is like plugging into my TV, I honestly would much rather I like mobile devices. They're great to play on, man. And if you're telling me I can get a console-esque experience on a handheld, I'm in 100%.
See, I'm usually the opposite, so it'll work both ways for both of us, I guess, where I'd like to have that mobile experience, but I would love to come home and bump it up to higher settings on the TV.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to finish this article before we head into the topics and stuff. It basically talks about how Nintendo has not made any official announcements regarding the NX, which is due to launch in March 2017. But there are several third parties who have announced their plans for the system, which you can read about in a different article. We had Yves Guillemot on a story last week talking about how he actually likes what it's going to do for the industry. And we also had Take-Two's CEO, which I don't remember his name, sorry about that. He was talking about how the NX, he's excited for it. So there's two big third-party people that are saying that they're excited for this, and that's one of the biggest issues that Nintendo needed to fix. And if it is fixed, that's going to be great. Yeah, we want this mobile that has a console experience, and you can also play it into your TV and stuff like that, but the games are very important. We all know Nintendo makes good games, but it needs third-party support to help move units. So
the other part that's going to play into that, and this is what I was telling you guys earlier, is that if this is true, then this pretty much extinguishes any chance of there being another 3DS or any separate mobile device, right?
Yep.
So all those dev teams that previously worked on 3DS games are now free to work on games for just this console. So they'll have a lot more dev power just, behind Nintendo without third parties, hopefully, than they did on Wii U. Because you're right, the biggest problem they've been having is portfolio management. They just don't have the quantity of content. So, yeah.
That would be a flippin' dream for me, dude, because honestly, these last few years, the best and brightest of Nintendo's first-party studios have been working on 3DS games.
Exactly.
They're not even making Wii U games, so it's like you're not seeing the full potential of their best studios.
Right.
Also, another fun fact, and this is the good thing about their libraries merging, is that Smash actually sold more on the 3DS than it did on the Wii U, which isn't surprising. There's more 3DSs out there.
Yeah, like 5 times
as
many.
But it's still, when you think about Smash, you don't think about a mobile experience. You don't.
Right.
You think about a console experience, and it's crazy that it's sold that well. And I think the best, going to your point of managing a library, the best way to manage your library is to take your two separate libraries and mush them into one, and let everything rise to the top. That's the best. And I think that's the best thing for them, because they know they really can't compete fully in the console market as just a console. and they know they do mobile well. So I think they're
Yeah.
hitting on their strengths, you know. So any closing thoughts on this whole Nintendo NX thing before we move into the topics, guys? Anything else you guys want to throw out there?
So according to this same report, we're supposed to hear more about this officially in September is when.
Yes, September.
Rumored to be unveiling.
yeah,
it.
so-
Over around Tokyo Game Shows when it's rumored that week or a week after, a week before, but apparently sometime in September.
So for me, I would say just my own feelings personally, this seems like the most substantial information that we've gotten since they announced it last year, and we've just been getting leak after leak after leak, or patent after patent, and this really seems like the most substantial info. And not only that, if this is the correct info and this is really what it is, this seems like this is the most exciting info that I've heard
100%.
about, and the most exciting pictures that I've seen. Everything up until now had me really shaky, but this seems like this is the striking the balance between on the go and at home.
Yeah. So the thing I was thinking about with the detachable controllers, real quick, is some of us were thinking, especially me, I was worried that you would detach these things from the mobile part, and then you kind of have like a Wii setup of like the nunchuck and the other thing, right?
Yeah.
But maybe it's that you just detach those so that way it does fit into the dock, and then it has ports for a Pro controller, stuff like that, Maybe you don't even use the parts you detach as the controller. That's what I was thinking.
Or you detach them from your mobile thing, put the mobile thing in the dock, and then put the controller back together to make one
See,
single
this is
thing.
just so bizarre. Like, I can't picture it. I can't even begin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want Nintendo to strike while the iron's hot, though. This is a lucky leak for them. A lot of the leaks were weird, and people were getting skeptical about it, even us. But this news that we've heard about is actually getting people excited, and I think they need to strike when the iron's hot, man, because it's all about controlling your message, which we've talked about 100 million times.
Right. I think that they've missed that boat, and I think unveiling it so early without any information for them to say officially was a big mistake.
Yep.
So hopefully they can recover.
So summer's a slow time for video games. There was a pretty good release, though, that people are super excited for this week. Hyper Light Drifter. Jordan, take us away.
Hyper Light Drifter. So this came out March 31st on PC and just made its way to PS4. It is on its way to Vita, and hopefully it'll be cross-buy since I've already got the
Also
PS4
on
version
Xbox One for you
purchased.
people out there that have an Xbox.
Yes. Did it come out on Xbox One this week? Okay. Yeah, so it came out on consoles this week, and then handhelds later on, hopefully. Or they've confirmed Vita, so Vita definitely. But anyways, I just finished writing my review for this game, which will go up on the site. Also, I mentioned on the last week's podcast that I was going to have Gravity Rush and Bastion reviews. Those will also be going up tonight or tomorrow. And so, obviously, if you want, my complete and total thoughts, then you can go to controlledinterest.com to read my review. But I just kind of wanted to have a discussion about this. I mean, you guys haven't played it, but have you both seen, gameplay
Yeah, it's a
footage
game.
and stuff?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Dom. I didn't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to ask, because I don't even know what the premise of this is. So if you want to give a full rundown of what this even is.
Well, Dom, you're the one that needs to know the most, because this is, a lot of people are saying this is a really good Zelda clone.
Oh.
Also, it looks
Yeah.
like, are you familiar with Titan Souls, either of you? The PC game? Where you basically,
Little bit.
you have one arrow and
seen
you
it.
have to fight through bosses. It's basically like mini boss of the game. This definitely has that aesthetic, and I love Titan Souls aesthetic. So when I have extra cash, Hyper Light Drifter is definitely a game I'm getting. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it.
I would put it at the top of your list. I think it's $20. It has its flaws. It's not incredible. It's not amazing. But it's definitely worth $20. It's definitely worth the 8 hours I spent with it. Beautiful aesthetic, like you said, Jared. It's got a 16-bit top-down look. It's very much like Zelda. You got some hack and slash action going on. Lots of Bloodborne and Dark Souls influences. The combat is very difficult. The bosses are very fucking hard. The last boss was just a fucking joke. It was so difficult. It is more Bloodborne than Dark Souls, I say, because it's supposed to be really fast paced. You have a dash button, and you have you can eventually chain your dashes together. So yeah, definitely for Dom, being a Zelda fan, I would highly recommend it. Jared, you already like that aesthetic, so I'd recommend it for you. My biggest issue with this game is the fact that, like I said, it's not amazing, it's not incredible, but it's so darn close. Like, the aesthetic is incredible. Disasterpiece, who did the music for Fez, also does the music here, another game with a similar aesthetic, and the soundtrack is mind-blowingly good. But there's just some issues that really hold it back from reaching greatness, or not greatness, but reaching, being incredible, being one of my favorite games, or even in my game of the year list for this year. So that was my biggest problem. Is I'm sure you guys have played games like that before, where it's like, holy shit, you guys are almost there, but you just didn't quite get that final touch. It's missing a little bit of polish that really would have pushed it into that next step.
It's one of those games where like a delay could have possibly made it great. Like,
maybe it was just the developer didn't understand the issues that I'm having with it. I don't know.
So is it just a little clunky and janky still? Like, I mean.
So, I was trying to think of how to describe my issues with this game. I want to just go ahead and read a little excerpt from my review here to give you guys, those are obviously thoughts that have already been put out on paper, so maybe they'll come a little bit more smoothly. So this is obviously under the gameplay portion of my review. And it says, Hyper Light Drifter prides itself on its fast-paced hack-and-slash gameplay, yet the system is not without flaws. For example, when darting around enemies, you'll probably want to be able to dash and immediately slash the enemy you just slid up to, but you'll be remiss to find after dying several times that there's a delay in between dashing and attacking. For a game which is seemingly all about fast-paced combat, I fail to see how this is beneficial to the player at all. Oppositely, you may want to hit a tough enemy a couple times and then immediately dash away to avoid his upcoming attack. However, you'll find that the game doesn't work that way, and you'll have to wait a split second before you can get away. This easily allows your enemy to hit you and further disrupts the flow of the supposedly quick combat. So, basically, what I'm saying there is, like, you're trying to dash around enemies, you're trying to dash right up to somebody, like, for example, in Bloodborne, Dom, you can just, like, dash around and you can dash straight up.
Right back.
You can be in the middle of your dash and start swinging, and you'll dash up to the enemy, hit him, and then he'll be knocked backwards. Then you can dash right back out. And if you want to hit someone and then dash, then you can do that as well, where it's like, there's no stopping in between. There's no pausing. It's like all fluid. It's all bam, bam, bam. And with this one, Hyper Light Drifter has a lot of moments where it's interrupting your flow in combat.
So I had a revelation on this recently, actually, thinking about Dark Souls and like third-person controls and that ability to like stop at a dime and cancel out actions, and like that makes for a much better game generally when it's very precise and responsive. Versus games like Uncharted or Assassin's Creed, where it's kind of floaty and feels clunky. But to me, those are actually more realistic. You know what I mean? And that may be better or worse for gameplay, but to me that's a much more realistic representation of what a person in that situation would be moving like. I mean, in Dark Souls, you can literally be running and then literally stop at a dime and turn around and be swinging your sword, like, in an instant.
But how realistic is Dark Souls?
Exactly.
As a whole.
I mean, you're fighting like crazy.
So it's easy for them to do that, but in a game like Uncharted, they're going for realism. So it's harder to put that in, I guess.
Honestly, you may have just reminded me of a topic I want to do upcoming, which is about how realistic do we want our video games, Like, there's certain things that are so realistic in a game that you're like, dude, this is boring. I could just do this in real life. We talk about, like, sim racers with Forza and Gran Turismo. Like, if I wanted to drive a car this damn slow, I'd just go out on the road and drive my own car. It's like, you don't want your game to be so overly realistic that it becomes boring. But going back to what you said about the preciseness, one thing that people talk about with Dark Souls and Bloodborne is the fact that when you screw up or you die, you feel like you know what happened. You feel like you know what you did wrong, and you know it was your fault. You're like, okay, it was my fault. I know what I did wrong, and I know how to fix it. In Hyper Light Drifter, half the time you're looking around like, what the hell even happened? Like, I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing everything perfect, And a lot of times in Hyper Light Drifter, if you're not exactly perfect on what you're trying to do, then you get penalized, and it's just really frustrating because it doesn't have that extra level of preciseness and polish that the Souls games do, where it's like, okay, these guys are master crafters of games. They know exactly how to make a game this precise. And for Heart Machine, this is their first game, so it's like they're not badasses in that sense yet, and so they don't have that extra level of polish that it requires if you're gonna pin your player down with such high.
It's funny too that the game's called Hyper Light Drifter, and you have pauses in between, button presses you have to do. Like, it's kind of
right.
It's kind of funny in a sense, but you figure for a game called Hyper Light Drifter, you want to be able to commit to actions and be able to go through with them at the touch of a button, and to have those delays and stuff, it kind of feels out of place. That kind of feels weird. So I completely understand where you're coming from with that.
And honestly, like, I'll read another little piece of my review here. It's like there's those delays that you're talking about that you just mentioned, Jared, or the pauses that interrupt your flow. It's like top to bottom. Like there's like 4 or 5 different spots in the mechanics of combat where you're like, holy shit, they're doing it again. Holy crap, they're interrupting my flow again in another way mechanically. And it's like, it's like it's called Hyper Light Drifter. It's all about, the trailers show this fast-paced combat, and just the amount of times that they interrupt your flow is kind of annoying.
I definitely want people to go read your review when it's up. To close out this topic, can you give us basically a rundown, bullet points of like what you loved about this game? We already kind of know what you disliked about this game, and you don't have to say what you gave the game, but maybe overall what you would give the game, or
Sure. So that was one of my things, is I really like the combat, but I definitely don't love the combat. It's really close, like I said. It's almost there. But then, like I said, I was going to read another little piece, but I'll just give you bullet points. For one, when you're healing yourself, you stop completely for multiple frames. So you're in the middle of battle, you're dying, you're like, holy shit, I gotta heal right now. You heal, and then you stop, and you get hit.
Well, that really is like Dark Souls, and I always like that kind of...
That is...
There's consequences for you trying to heal in the middle of a battle. Yeah.
You can't just heal, you have to strategically think it out when you're going to do it. Yeah.
Right. Then you have a single dash at the beginning of the game, and then you upgrade that to a chain dash to where you can chain multiple dashes together. But it's really weird, the rhythm of it. It's in the review I called it a ramp up rhythm, where you hit X, it's like X, 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 X. So it's not X, 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 it's X, pause, X, 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 X. So it's like this weird ramping up, and you can get the hang of it eventually, but then when you're in the middle of these really tough combat situations with all these like hardcore foes around you, it's tough to think of that rhythm while you're also trying to slash guys, heal yourself, move in between different enemies. It's just, if it had just been, hit the button multiple times to chain dashes together, then it would have been perfect. But they make you do this like whole ramp up system, and it gets really convoluted. It's hard to hard to finesse in the middle of a battle. So those are the things I didn't really love. I did mention how much I love the aesthetic. The game is fucking gorgeous, top to bottom. I did, like I said, mention the amazing music that Disaster Piece did. If you're a fan of Fez, you're going to love this one as well. The combat, like I said, is solid, but it's not all the way there. And then the story and the world building is really interesting. It's all wordless. There's no text, no voice acting or anything. But you're in this mysterious world. Your character has this disease where he's coughing up blood and shit like that. And you're getting these bits of story from the NPCs where they'll give you just pictures. And you have to like scroll through the pictures and kind of figure out the story for yourself in that sense. So it's a very mysterious story, and you definitely don't get just you don't get the narrative spoon fed to you, but it's interesting at least, and it did keep my attention and make me want to kind of find out more about this world. So definitely some good, definitely some bad with this game. I'll save the verdict for my review if you want to go read that online. But it's like I said, the whole time I was thinking, God damn it, I want to love this game. This game is so close to being incredible, but they fall a few steps too short.
So this game might be coming to Vita in the future, and
it is confirmed.
Speaking of that, let's talk about your recent romance, Dom. How's it going?
So, for a while now, I've been sitting at the West Coast, the ocean in California, staring out, saying, one day I'll make it to Vita Island. Now, I mean, I'm still not allowed permanent citizenship, but me and Jordan are working a plan to smuggle me in because, boom, we have a Vita. It was about this time last year, I picked up the new 3DS, so the one with the little nub.
Nice.
Which is the first portable console I bought in years. Feels like...
Everyone knows Dom loves a good nub.
Yeah, right.
Nubs for life.
So I love playing a lot of games on the 3DS. It was nice to have something handheld and portable. I can play a little bit in bed every night before I fall asleep, that kind of stuff. So I started to dwindle through most of the games I wanted to play on 3DS. And then, I don't know, it just kind of dawned on me one day, like, maybe I want a Vita. I don't know. So here I am.
Come to the dark side, Anakin.
Exactly. So there's certainly issues with it. The catalog is not... I mean, it's what it is. There's a lot of great smaller games and indie games. But as long as you know what it is going in, then I think you're going to love it because, like, as a piece of hardware, this thing is absolutely amazing. Like, when I pulled it out of the box, I was like, wow. Like, I was honestly, like, shocked at how nice it felt. Like, everything about it. I did go with the slim model, and it was brand new, which was nice. So it is a little bit difficult to hold after a little bit. My hands start to cramp up. Hopefully I'll just get used to that. The 3DS wasn't great in that department either, but this seems a tad worse so far. So I might...
Did you have a PSP, Dom?
I did not, know.
So that was one thing for me is that it is... Obviously, this is the Slim, but I did feel like the PSP kind of contoured to my hands better.
I love the PSP, yeah.
But I eventually got used to the Vita, and I'm down with it now.
And if it continues to be a problem, I can always pick up a set of those grips.
Yeah, those are helpful. I have those.
I really want one in particular for the R2 buttons. There's one set that comes with a little. It kind of tricks the system to think you're hitting the back touchpad, but you're actually pushing the trigger on that. So. Right. That will help with remote play, which was another thing I tried, which works very well. They do scale down the resolution to like 540p or whatever the Vita screen is, but because it's such a small screen, you don't really notice that. So you're still getting all the textures, and everything looks exactly the same as it does on your PS4, just smaller and a little lower resolution. Tried it with The Last of Us. And what's it called? Saints Row, which I grabbed for free on PSN. And shooter games, it's just not going to work.
Exactly.
And it could, but the way they map the controls is absolutely awful. Where to aim, like to zoom in, is left on the top left portion of the back touchpad, and then to actually shoot is the top right portion of the back touchpad. So you have to use like the most, and those are the two most important buttons. You would think that they would put those on the regular L and R triggers and then put grenade or whatever it is on the back, but they probably didn't, plan on put a whole lot of time and effort into the Vita remote play mapping.
Right.
But for games, like Assassin's Creed works really well. I haven't had this, even when you do have to use the touchscreen in the rear touchpad, it's for things that are easier, like the grappling hook. You just have to tap bottom left corner of the touchscreen. It works really nicely. And combat and everything, like there's no real noticeable input lag or anything like that. It's very responsive, so it works really well. I was really impressed. Although, I mean, it's still not these games you don't ideally want to play on a handheld, right? Like they're made for your big screen. That's where the better experience is. So I'll reserve this to
until an X though.
That's true. So I'll reserve this for games that are a little more accessible, given the features. So, like I'll do Wolf Among Us and all the Telltale games. will work great across remote play. And then probably South Park, when that comes out, will probably be a good one that I can.
Turn-based stuff
like
is
slower
great.
based and action kind of ish stuff. I guess Assassin's Creed might be an exception, but that works great. So very impressed with how that worked. And mostly, I mean, in general, really impressed with the system overall. Like I mentioned, I've been playing Shovel Knight and already had Velocity 2X for free. I played that for a little bit, which was a fun little. It's just a little, Galaga kind of esque game.
It's hardcore action arcade is what
so
it is.
It's fun. It's kind of like mindlessly play when something's on TV or something else is going on, I guess. So overall, really like it. Looking forward to getting some new stuff on there too. Salt and Sanctuary. Cannot wait for that to come to Vita.
Also, I think you should get... Is Axiom Verge on Vita?
It is.
Yeah, that's a solid game too. You should definitely try out.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing with the Vita, obviously I don't own one. I own a 3DS, but like I think the handhelds are very well go alongside their console versions. So
yes.
The 3DS reads as a toy. I love the 3DS, but it definitely reads as a toy. Whereas the Vita and the PSP definitely read as pieces of hardware, like mini TVs, if you get what I'm going at. Like, they definitely look and feel, I think, like actual pieces of hardware, whereas the 3DS and even, like, going back to, like, the Game Boy, they're very toyish to me, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. It has to do with the aesthetic, and I think just the build of them.
They're much more durable.
Yeah.
Nintendo's.
The thing is, I had original PSP. I had the big tank one, the first version of it. That thing survived falls. I never broke the screen. Like, that thing was a trooper. I am kind of jealous of the Vita. Like, I would definitely like to own one. It doesn't really seem viable for me to get one now, especially with NX around the corner and Scorpio. It doesn't really seem.
Big boy.
If I would have made the decision when I got my 3DS to get a Vita, I think that's when I would have made that decision. Right now, it seems kind of off for me. But yeah, I'm glad to hear you're having a good time. You have a pretty good catalog to run through on that thing. So
awesome. Yeah, dude. I could give you just streams of recommendations. But what I want to know really is, what do you think about those bubbles, Dom?
I think they're good. They're fine. I like them. I like it much better than...
I can't stand them. They're so ugly.
Yeah, they're not the prettiest thing, but they're much more functional than the PS4 UI. I like them. You can organize things into folders, move them around the screen wherever you want. I think it's way better.
They're just so ugly.
Yeah,
though.
they're silly looking.
Like, I would rather have the XMB back.
Oh, I have a question.
PSP.
I have a question. Dom, are you going to be playing Persona 4 Golden? That's on Vita,
Yeah,
right?
I think so. I think I have to. Even though it's not really my genre, necessarily.
It's one of the best Vita games.
Yeah, I think I
sure.
have to. So
that's awesome.
I watched a bunch of best Vita game lists before I bought mine, and almost every time Persona 4 was at the top. So
I have a question. What's the latency with trophies on the Vita?
Latency?
Yeah, so obviously PS4, the same thing with Xbox. When you unlock an achievement, it unlocks, right, and it pops up. Is there any latency on the PS Vita, or does it do it automatically?
No, it's automatic.
Okay, that's cool. That's awesome.
And it syncs just as fast as PS4 would sync.
That's
awesome.
That's the nicest thing about it too, is having that unified account where I'm getting trophies from my same PSN account on the Vita too. It's nice.
That's the thing, is I wish there was a Xbox handheld, not necessarily to compete, but just because it'd be cool to have a mobile experience where I still have that account tied and stuff. That'd be awesome. So I'm super jelly of PlayStation owners, because you have a console and a handheld that are unified.
Yes,
super cool. So
Dom, don't forget, from now on you have 6 games for PS Plus to redeem every month online. Even if you don't have a PS3 right now, you should totally do it.
Redeem them if you don't have the console?
The PS... Oh yeah, you just go on the website.
I did not know that. I should start doing that.
On your computer or on your phone, yeah. And yeah, same with games with gold. I do that at the beginning of every month. I get all my 360, Xbox One, PS4, 3, and Vita. And yeah, so once I had my Vita, I had fucking 20 games ready to go.
I need to do that for PlayStation as well, just because in the future, if I ever own the Neo or whatever comes next, Garrett, I hope that the next PlayStation console will be backwards compatible after the Neo. So that'd be cool when I'm able to get it. I actually already have a bunch of games,
Well,
that'd
but you'd have to be paying for PS Plus while you don't have a PlayStation.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
That would suck.
Yeah,
to where you're just you are getting free games, but as we talked about,
I completely forgot about that.
as we talked about off air, I don't think that Xbox Live or PSN is worth the subscription fee just for the games right now because they're
especially as of late.
top tier.
Yeah.
So,
so any closing thoughts on your Vita, on your week with Vita, Don, before we head on to
Not
next
really.
topic?
I mean, I like this thing a lot. I'm glad I got it at this point. It's very nice.
That's awesome.
Good.
It's always good when you're satisfied with the purchase, right?
I hate buyer's remorse.
have you noticed this? Yeah. Have you noticed the speakers, Dom? Because I was very pleasantly surprised with the, they're stereo speakers, one on each side, and they sound really, really good. You can get it up pretty high if you want to higher
they're
volume.
nice.
I don't know
Definitely
if you
nicer than the 3DS, but I've been using headphones mostly.
Right.
So.
Okay, yeah. 3DS is like, that's where the toy part
Yeah.
comes in, is like that little speaker, tin can speaker.
Game show time. My topic is going to be a game. Always like to do these. We did a video game quiz with the other Jordan, Jiggy. And,
Come on down!
So this is a video game this or that. Essentially, I'm going to give you guys two options, and you tell me. It doesn't need to be. Doesn't need elaborate. You can give a sentence explanation if you want to, but I want to know what's more likely to happen or what's the better of the two. You kind of get the gist. It's this or that. You pick this or that.
Okay, so Jared, during this game, I know you're not on video, so we won't be able to corroborate this, but I want you to pretend like you're holding one of those tiny little microphones like
Okay.
they would do on Price is Right. And I'm
Make
going
sure
to
to get-
know if you're not doing it.
Okay, get your pet spayed or neutered. So we're gonna run
Thank you,
down the
Mr.
list
Barker.
here before we close out the show. More likely to happen: NX launch title, a 3D Mario or a Mario Pals game. And what I mean by Mario Pals is like a Mario Tennis or Mario Golf or a Mario Sonic Olympic.
I think it's time
Yep.
for the 3D
Yep, I
Mario,
agree.
bro. It's time for the Galaxy sequel or whatever we're getting.
Okay. More likely Scorpio launch title, Crackdown 3 or Tomb Raider. Now, before you guys answer, remember that the first Tomb Raider came out in 2013, the second Tomb Raider came out in 2015, and next year's 2017 with the Scorpio launch. So that's why I have it up there. So Crackdown 3 or the new Tomb Raider, which is more likely a Scorpio
Tomb
launch
Raider.
title?
So, oh wow, that's bold. For me, it's absolutely Crackdown. They've already screwed up Crackdown so much that it won't be coming out this year, so it would be great to just do it on Scorpio. Plus, with all the cloud computing that they were talking about with the multiplayer and being able to destroy every single building down to the last pebble, I think that'll work great with Scorpio. And, yes, we have these 2-year intervals for Tomb Raider, but even though it's Xbox, we're getting Rise of the Tomb Raider last year and this year again on PS4, so I don't think you want to have 3 years in a row where Tomb Raider is coming out, and I think they don't want to saturate the market in that way.
Yep. Good counter argument. Next up, this will be which will score higher in reviews upon release: Zelda Breath of the Wild or Horizon Zero Dawn?
Shit. Oh,
So this isn't whether or not one of
That's
these games
tough.
will be bad, but which one do you think will
That
score
is
higher with reviewers?
I don't even know. I can't even.
Okay, I know what it is. So I've been talking shit about Zelda since E3, saying that it looks like a PS3 game, essentially. Like, all the new mechanics that they're introducing, people are like, oh, look, you can do this in Zelda now. You can do this in Zelda. And that's shit that's been in, Skyrim and Fallout and all other RPGs for 5+ years now. So I think even though everyone was just, totally sucking Nintendo's dong at E3 because of how much they thought Zelda was so cool and just feeding off of that nostalgia, I think once the game actually comes out, people are going to realize, okay, this is pretty fucking antiquated and it's not nearly as good as we thought it would be. We were just really hyped on it because we hadn't had it for so long. We hadn't had a mainline Zelda. We were so excited. And I think that Horizon Zero Dawn is going to be an actual amazing quality video game that people are going to give 9.5, maybe.
I'm going to take the
10s
reverse
to.
approach. I think, given the changes that they've shown for Zelda, this is the time. Like, this is the game. This is their chance, and I think they're just going to knock it out of the park. And people are going to love this game. Aside of course from like Giant Bomb, who will appropriately shit on it like everything else. But I think it will do slightly better average than Horizon, which I think Horizon will be a great game, like a really great game. But remember that this is Guerrilla's first non-FPS game, at least in the recent past. So it's the first time they've had to deal with a giant open world and interconnecting RPG systems and things like that. So I think we're going to see some technical issues with it. Nothing serious, but like, yeah, sometimes this is sort of buggy and this doesn't work quite right, and this is a little janky looking. I think we'll see some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Overall, it's something to be a great game, but that might hold it back slightly.
Also, think about how well the mainline Zeldas review usually. Like, they usually don't do bad,
Anytime you get something so few and far in between as a Zelda game every 5 years, even if it's not the greatest, I mean, you've been waiting for a long time and you're ready.
Right.
Also, it's a lot safer to be a contrarian for a new IP as opposed to Zelda. You'll get a lot less hate that way. So the chances of Horizon having lower reviews.
Off of your point, Dom, with the jankiness, I will say I've been extremely impressed so far with what they've shown as far as the polish that it has, and then even with the behind closed doors demos, the guys that have come back and spoken about it, they seem to really embellish the fact that there is a lot of polish to it. So, not that you're wrong, because you're totally right. This is their first time doing that, and it could be janky, but from what I've seen so far, I think they're on the right track as far as polish.
Also, we're talking apples and oranges. This is like a 9-1-9 situation. I think both these games are going to review very well from the looks of it. So,
definitely.
Okay, so this is either or. Not so much more likely to happen. I guess some of these are. Better controller, and like I said, let's keep this really short. N64 or GameCube?
Oh god, GameCube. They're both shitty as fuck, but GameCube.
Yeah, GameCube. Which will release first, Cuphead or Below?
Below.
Jesus, I've been thinking about both of these games playing through Hyper Light Drifter. Hyper Light Drifter has got me very excited for Below, and I think Below is coming out first because it needs to. Like, it should have been out a while ago.
Also, all the changes they need to make to Cuphead, so, yeah.
Yeah, they're doing a whole other part of that.
Dom, what's your answer?
Below.
Cuphead or Below? Okay. More likely to cameo in the next game in this game. Baird in Gears 4 or Banjo or Kazooie in Yooka-Laylee?
Baird.
As long as he's still alive, I don't think he died.
No, he's still alive. He's still alive.
Who died in Gears 3? Spoilers for Gears 3.
Dom died.
Doesn't Carmine always die?
Well, the rookie.
This is the first game Carmine didn't die. Yeah. Baird's alive.
So he's alive. I would say definitely Baird because, there's licensing issues with Yooka-Laylee.
Yep. Which will have the longer campaign total, Battlefield 1 or Infinite Warfare?
Battlefield 1 will be a 5-hour max campaign. Infinite Warfare will be close to 10.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the underdog on this one. People have been talking shit about Battlefield campaigns for so long, and the way they're talking about it is like we're really going into some of these deeper stories that you didn't hear in the history books. And so I think they are going to have a good story focus, and they might actually get this one right. This might be DICE's first great first-person
I hope so. That could be what draws
Okay.
me in. Otherwise, if it's anything like the previous Battlefield games, no thanks.
We have three more. NX price point is going to be lower or higher than $300? $299 counts as lower, by the way.
Yeah, I'm going to say $299.
I'm sticking with $350.
Okay. This is an interesting question. And this kind of, I was thinking of Dead Rising 1's achievements and how some of them were kind of frustrating and some of them are just cool, like kill the population of the town, right?
Yeah.
Which game will have an easier platinum or 1,000 gamer score in Xbox? Days Gone or Resident Evil 7?
Days Gone.
Easier platinum. I'm going to say Resident Evil because you don't have to go through the open world and...
Yeah. I think there's going to be some like
collect
weird
shit.
motorcycle travel trophy or achievement for Days Gone. Or I guess it's not achievement because it's a PS exclusive, but you know what I mean.
Let's try to remember that when it comes out.
Okay.
Let's see if we get that
I
right.
keep all of these. I even have the first video game quiz we did written down. I have all of it there.
Okay.
The last one. So Marvel has a new commitment to video games. They came out and said that they're actually looking for partners to create very solid video games, right? That's totally what happened with Spider-Man, kind of. I guess obviously it's Sony, but I don't think
They
Sony
also
has
have
the rights.
Telltale deal.
Yeah. So what's the more likely Marvel game in development right now? An action-adventure Marvel game or an open-world RPG?
Action-adventure.
This doesn't count Spider-Man because I kind of,
So
this is a game we don't know about.
Well, the thing is, though, like, Spider-Man's a great example. To me, I'm thinking that's going to be an open-world action RPG.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a hybrid of what you're asking.
Yeah.
So, like an action-adventure game, you're talking
Like an
about
Arkham
like
Knight.
Tomb Raider.
Ratchet and Clank or something like that. And open world RPG, you're talking about like Horizon or Days Gone, right?
Or like Fallout. Yeah.
Yeah, so...
You don't think it'll be kind of like Infamous? Or, it's a fast, fluid
Right.
action movement, quick attacks and crazy, you can jump crazy high and that kind of stuff.
Open
But then you
world.
also have some leveling up to do and some different choices here
Yeah.
and there.
Well, this is. It's probably a combination of these, but just for the sake of the game, which one do you think would be more likely? A solid
Yeah.
action adventure game or an open world
I'd say
RPG?
pure action
So I
adventure.
think
Okay.
Spider-Man, in my opinion, is going to be, or in my thoughts, is going to be an open world RPG, and you're not including that. So I'm going to say their next game after Spider-Man is going to be a linear action adventure.
Okay, cool. And when when all this stuff, like some of the this or that stuff, we'll figure out who was right and who was wrong. I thought it was a cool game to play. We're going to be heading out now. Thank you guys for listening to episode 22. We're going to get into what we're going to be playing, and then we're going to close out the show. For me, I'm just going to figure out what I feel like playing. I haven't really felt like playing anything the last couple of weeks. I'll pick up something and play something. I don't know what it is, but it'll be something.
Let me encourage you, Jared. Recently, I've been playing what I want, watching what I want, reading what I want. If I'm in the middle of something over here, but I'm not really feeling it, but I really want to get to this thing, I'll just go and do that thing.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I enjoy myself better that way.
Yeah, I think I'll try that out. I don't know if there's... the Suicide Squad come out before our next recording? I think it comes out next Thursday, so it might come out the day we record, so...
So it'll probably... Yeah, we probably won't have seen it by the
Yeah.
time we record.
So I definitely want to see that next week. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll figure out what I want to play. What about you guys?
So I want to give a shout out. I didn't mention this at the beginning of the show. One thing that I watched this week was Batman: The Killing Joke.
That's right.
And also reread the hardcover version of the book, which has got some different coloring. That's why I mentioned it. But yeah, I reread the book and then watched the movie. A lot of people are pissed off because Batgirl has this whole added prologue at the beginning. I thought it was totally cool and just added to her character. Didn't affect the Killing Joke at all. That was totally separate. And I'm all for just more awesome, DC animated content. So I was glad to have that extra 30 minutes. Plus, the comic's super short, so it makes sense. But I really loved it. A lot of people are talking shit, but I really loved it, saying it's a mess. Most people are saying it's a mess, but I don't think so. Anyways, playing this week. For one, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child comes out, which is the 8th story in the Harry Potter world. It's a play that they've been doing in Britain that they're going to release the script of, so it's not really a book, kind of different. But I'm still excited for it nonetheless. And then Batman Telltale series comes out. I'll probably be playing that. Episode 1. And then finishing up Dark Disciple, going to start Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. And playing wise, really need to get back into Witcher 3 because I'd never finished Blood and Wine, and I've kind of been just spacing it out because I love it so much. And then it's about time to wrap up Ratchet and Clank. So yeah.
Dom, what about you?
Still haven't finished. Never mind.
I know it's messed up. I got distracted. Blah 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 blah.
For me, Shovel Knight, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and that first episode of Batman. Telltale Batman or whatever.
Awesome.
Telltale Batman. Are you interested in Killing Joke, Tom?
Very, yes. I never read the comic. And like I was saying before, I would have went and saw it, but it wasn't playing at the theater in my town. So.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like specialized theaters for 2 nights only. It was originally 1 night, but because of the popularity, it got a second night in some
I'll
places.
probably read
so-
the comic, or
It is on.
I'll probably rent it off Amazon when it pops up there.
Also,
It's on digital HD
Okay.
now, so you're good to go.
Also, a quick recap. What night are you on again?
Oh, I just beat
Knight?
the
Knight.
ice one. What's his Polar Knight?
Polar Night. Okay. I just want to have context as to where you are. Yeah, thank you guys for listening to episode 22 of the Controlled Interest Gamecast. If you want to check out Jordan's review of Hyper Light Drifter, it'll be going up this week, possibly along with his other reviews for Bastion and what was the other one?
Gravity Rush. Also, I wanted to mention, I'm just going to try to do this on every show. We are a video podcast now. Welcome to seeing our sweet little faces. And also, we are at 20 YouTube subscribers. We're definitely trying to get to 50. That is our next goal. So help us out and share us with your friends.
Yeah, like us, share us. If you follow us on Twitter, retweet us when we tweet out the videos. That really help. Like and review the podcast on iTunes. That helps as well. Definitely check out the review going up this week. I posted a video talking about a rumor of Donald Glover possibly being the Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming. And if that sounds confusing because Michael Keaton was already confirmed as the Vulture, go watch the video. It's on our YouTube channel.
Was he confirmed, or he just got cast and then people were thinking he'd be the Vulture because of Birdman?
It's confirmed. He's confirmed as playing the Vulture.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that.
One other thing,
so,
leave us a review on iTunes. Even if it's a 1-star, definitely do that still, and then give us your criticism, and maybe we'll address it. Maybe.
But I don't think we're a 1-star podcast.
Yeah. Alrighty. Thank you guys for listening. Any closing words, guys?
Beyond
Vita Island. I'm coming. Gonna get in.
Catch you guys in episode Michael Jordan. Bye.
Wow.